Hello class 400. Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2020, and today we're going to be doing Reading Advantage 2. Okay, so we're going to start on page 87. Let's pause your videos and get to page 87. So let's start with questions 1, 2, 3. Do you like to watch sports on TV? If so, what sports do you like to watch? This one's pretty easy. If there's any sport you like to watch on TV, just write it down. Number 2, which sports do you like to play or do? That one's easy too. What sport do you enjoy doing? And number 3, are there any sports that you would never try? Which sports would you never ever do? Why? Okay, so answer 1, 2, 3 by yourselves. And then when you're done 1, 2, 3, do the target vocabulary, and then I will give you the answers to the target vocabulary, okay? So pause the videos while you do 1, 2, 3, and the vocab. Okay, so pause. Okay. So match each word with the best meaning. Number 1, convince is G. Make others believe that something is true or a good idea. Number 2, demonstrate is D. Show how to do something. All right, that's D. 3, encourage is H. Give strength or hope to someone. Help someone to do something. Number 4, A, especially, in particular, giving special attention. So especially is A. Number 5, extreme is B. Far from normal, far from the center. Junior is C, younger. 7, rename is F. Give a new label or name. 8, tour is going to be E. So a vacation or trip that includes many places. So these are the answers, if you can see right there. So pause the video to make sure you have the right answers. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, I'm going to read for you guys. So listen up. In the summer of 1993, Ron Simeo, director of programming for the U.S. sports cable channel ESPN, came up with an idea for a new sports program. While he was watching television one afternoon, Simeo started to think about how much young people liked to do extreme sports, like skateboarding, snowboarding, and BMX bike riding. He thought of an event where people could watch athletes compete in these sports in a kind of extreme Olympics. It took some time to convince the management at ESPN that the idea showed promise, and then it took even longer to organize the competition. Finally, in the summer of 1995, the first Extreme Games took place in Rhode Island in the United States. More than 350 athletes from around the world came to compete in events such as bungee jumping, barefoot water skiing, windsurfing, BMX bike riding, skateboarding, and climbing. The competitions were shown on ESPN and were a big hit, especially with males between 12 and 30 years old. The success of the first show resulted in the competition becoming an annual event. The second year, ESPN renamed the competition the X Games. The organizers also announced that they would hold a Winter X Games that year. In the Winter Games, athletes competed in BMX racing on snow, snowboarding, ice climbing, and various ski competitions. That same year, a few athletes were also asked to travel to Brazil and China to demonstrate their skill and to stir up interest in the X Games in those countries. The touring X Games show became known as the X Trials. New athletes could compete in the X Trials, and if they did well, then they were allowed to compete in the X Games. In addition to the X Games held in the United States each year, today there are also the Asian X Games, a Latin X Games, and a Junior X Games to encourage young athletes to compete in extreme sports. Okay, so read that again if you have to. But now what I want you guys to do is questions 1 to 5 of reading comprehension on page 89, okay? So pause the video while you go do that, and then we'll correct, okay? So pause. Okay. What is the main topic of the passage? The answer is D, the history of the X Games. Number 2, where did the first extreme games take place? B, the USA. Number 3, which group was probably the largest group watching the first X Games? The answer is 3A, A, young men. So young men. 4, which was held first? D, extreme games. The extreme games. Number 5, in which paragraph does the writer describe how the X Games first became popular? And the answer is in B, okay? Paragraph 2, B. So, these are the answers. We've got D, B, A, D, B. Make sure you have the right answers, okay? Now what I want you guys to do is find the idioms. Show promise, result in, and stir up. Okay? So pause the video while you go look for the idioms. Okay. So, showed promise is in the second paragraph in the first sentence. It took some time to convince the management at ESPN that the idea showed promise, and then it took even longer to organize the competition. Result in would be the result in, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Result in, oh my gosh, let me see if I can find it. Result in, okay, I don't know if I can find it this quickly. Okay, in the third paragraph, in the first sentence, the success of the first show resulted in the competition becoming an annual event. And stir up is in the last paragraph in the first sentence. That same year, a few athletes were also asked to travel to Brazil and China to demonstrate their skill and to stir up interest. All right, now turn the page. I want you guys to do the vocabulary reinforcement A. So pause the video while you go do that. Okay. A, number 1. He showed his skill at walking on his hands. It's A, demonstrated. So number 1 is A, demonstrate. Number 2, Alice didn't want to come to the party, but I managed to change her mind. Change her thinking. Sorry. The answer is D, convince her. Number 3, Fiona's so good at sports because her parents really gave her hope when she was young. The answer is D, encouraged her. Number 4, I don't like to play sports, and I really don't like to play basketball. The answer is B, especially. Number 5, his friends are putting together a surprise party for him. And the answer is A, organizing. Number 6, Violet is going on a 12-day trip across Europe. Number 6, the answer is C, tour of. So those are the answers to this guy. A, D, D, B, A, C. Make sure you have those answers, okay? All right. Pause the video while you guys go do B, okay? And then we'll come back and correct. So pause. Okay. The X Games is a competition for athletes in extreme sports. In addition to the X Games and the Junior X Games for younger athletes, there is also the X Trials, where competitors in the X Games travel to other countries to stir up interest in the competition. If athletes show promise in the X Trials, this might result in them going on to compete in the X Games. So number 1, extreme. Number 2, junior. Number 3, stir up. Number 4, show promise. And number 5, result in. Okay? That's our lesson for today, guys. If you have any questions, call or email the school. We'll help you out. And that's our lesson, and I will see you guys next week. Okay? Bye, guys.